Crone's getting a split. Mizzy in front of the 100. Crone goes up the inside and Crone takes the lead in the Kilmore. Crone draws clean out from Mizzy. It's a Queensland victory. Crone beat Mizzy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mock Sports Presents the Quaddie Poddy. Cashy joined by Nick again, live from the Cashmore basement, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Changing the day again because the football starts tomorrow.
Footy's back.
We're both going to be there, not together, but we're both going to be there.
Be there in spirit together.
Yeah, looking forward to a couple of bevs tomorrow night.
Yes, couple bevs, couple bets as well. Looking forward to winning a lot of money on the footy this year.
100%.
But we're a racing pod, first and foremost. So let's just touch on last week's racing. I assume you have something to say to me?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to let you bring it up. Fangirl.
Yeah, Fangirl. Let's touch on her first. And the multis of 1,000 people go down.
Is she still the best horse in the country?
I think it's a tough one because I think she has excuses. She kicked a fence, got all cut up on her foot. The track was shit. So we all know she can't really go on anything worse than a soft 6. They may have said it was a soft 5. That was definitely more than a soft 5. And Waller second up syndrome, plus the fact that she got far too back in the run, and J-Mac tried to ride her like Winx, which she isn't. She's Winx-like at times, but she isn't Winx. No one's Winx. You shouldn't be getting that far back and expecting them to cover ground. But on a track that wasn't really letting horses cover ground, she certainly finished off well enough to suggest she'll bounce back third up, in my opinion. But country's best horse, jury's out until she can race Mr. Brightside, in my opinion.
Look, I don't think you can give... Don't fault her. She's a great horse, but you don't give that many excuses to your best horse in the country.
That's a fair call.
I think if Brightside lost like that, you wouldn't call Brightside the best horse in the country.
Yeah, as we say many times, winners win.
Winners
need excuses.
Winners just make a way to win. I think she's a good horse, but she's still got a bit to prove if you want to call her the best. I'm not ripping into you too hard because, yeah, but did you bring out the M word last week? I
don't think I did.
You were probably close to it. You were thinking it.
I was definitely thinking it, but I don't think I did. I'm just glad that I wasn't on the Stormboy Fangirl multi. I was on the Our Kobe Sun Stormboy Fangirl multi, so I'm glad Our Kobe Sun lost, because then I would have been even more pissed off if Fangirl had lost, because I thought it was free money, but we all know what happened with Animo and Nature Strip when I called that free money 2 years ago. But on Stormboy, wow.
Crazy. He wins the slipper.
You're
playing for second place.
I think at this point, the only thing that stops him winning the slipper is if he draws super wide and then jumps like he did on the weekend, which was a bit flat, but he had the ability in a small field and a good barrier to just rocket through and just get to the front anyway. But on a Rose Hill track, if he draws 16 or 16 and then jumps like that, how many other gay horses are going to be in the race that are going to push forward instead of him? Unless a bit of team riding comes into it. I feel like that's literally the only thing that stops him.
Don't think so. He just looks way too good. And he's going to go win a couple more. Might go into spring and then...
Well, Triple Crown is the goal. And at the moment, I don't know about Triple Crown. Obviously, will be hard to beat in all of those races. But we know historically how hard it is. Like, all these horses that come through and go, yeah, we're going to win the Triple Crown. And then what happens? Like, they always stumble at least one of those races. Like, last year, how good was Shinzo in the Golden Slipper? He'll be hard to beat. And then Militarized came out and won both those races. And if Militarized had popped up in the Golden Slipper, then he'd be a Triple Crown winner. Fireburn again. Oh, yeah, nothing's going to beat her. And then again, fumbled at the last stop. So, I don't know, a horse I really like. I've said it many times, and she looked even better on the weekend. Manal. I think she's great for the Champagne or the Sires. I think she's just going to be even better the further she goes, I think. She's always super strong late.
Yeah. Happy with her.
I think, you can still get $10 plus for a place in some of those races as well. So please run to your local bookmaker and bet on her to place in one of those races.
Yeah, I'm annoyed I didn't make her my best of the day because I was thinking of doing it, but then it didn't in the end. But yeah, she raced well.
Yeah, my best of the day, Riff Rocket, let's touch on that. King Colorado, the whole Australian Guineas, really. The first three across the line weren't really found by the market. Watching that race really set me off in this fact that, like, I likened it to watching the Bulldogs lose to the West Coast Eagles last year. Just frustrating. Like, it's like I wanted to shout at the screen, but, the horses aren't going to hear. It's just watching really good horses run poorly pisses me off. So in the space of a few hours, you saw our Kobe son got beat, and then bloody in half an hour, Riff Rocket and Fangirl both go down, and Riff Rocket especially, the way it ran didn't even place. And then they're learning to fly 20 minutes later, didn't place. Like, when the Tropical Squall passed the line, I was like, that's bullshit. And then 30 minutes later, Hinged found another way to get beat, because of course she did. It was one of the more frustrating days I've had at the track. How about that? Hinged managed to get herself beat on the line by a midweek horse.
It's that track was as bad as I've seen it for a while. Not from a track like someone's fault, just purely based off weather and just slog. It
was just ridiculous, and it really annoys me when you go to tracks and they're like, "Yeah, it's a good 4." No, it's not.
That was a fucking heavy 9 the whole day. Heavy 10 the whole day.
I don't know about heavies, but it wasn't good. And I've still got a lot to learn about track ratings and what goes into track ratings, etc., etc. But for a good 4 to start the day, there was a hell of a lot of kickback. There was a lot of divots going into that track. I met up with the Corinda boys, shout out to them. And even they were saying when they got there on the day, they watched the first race and they said, this is a genuine soft 6, soft 7. This is not a good 4. And it took them till like race 5 to downgrade it to just a soft 5, even though it probably was still even more than a soft 5. Like, that's what really annoyed. Like this time last year, how they kept saying, nah, it's a heavy 8, even though we all knew it was like heavy 12. You shouldn't have even been racing on it, but they needed to get the races run, and they were just blatantly saying, like, yeah, it's a heavy 8, heavy 9, it's fine. Where if it wasn't a group day, track would have been wiped out. They would have just moved it to a different track or called it off and abandoned the day. It really, really annoyed me.
Well, our boy in Gold Coast wouldn't have. He would have downgraded the track at the right time. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Navesh. He would have gotten it right. But only other thing, Black Booker. One Black Booker I want to take out of the day. My tip in the last race, New Energy. I mentioned very hard to make ground on the day. Fangirl was able to do it. New Energy was able to do it just as well. Ran some of the fastest sectionals of the day, fastest sectionals of the race. Absolutely exploded that last 200 metres. If it goes up in distance and gets a better track, I think just wins. So New Energy, go back and watch the replay. You'll see just how quick it was at the end and was able to make up quite a few lengths. So whacking your Black Book punters. But anything else to touch on, mate, before we go to the listener questions?
We'll get straight into it, mate. Our first one, let me get it up. Our first one is from Leighton Smith. Do you guys have a favourite track to bet on or attend, and why? Personally, I like betting on Moonee Valley. We tend to do very well at Moonee Valley. Obviously, the short straight, a lot of leaders seem to win there. In saying that, we probably don't bet as often there, which shows when we do bet
helps
down
the strike
there,
rate.
it helps the strike rate out. Obviously, Randwick and Rosehill, we're tipping every week, every second week down there, up here. Our strike rate's not going to be as good because we have more bets.
Yeah.
That's my favourite to bet on. My favourite track to attend in Sydney would be Randwick. I just love the way Randwick's set up, and then I do love Moonee Valley as well, the way it's set up for a Friday night track meet.
Yeah, Randwick for me, attending-wise, punting-wise, Rose Hill. I've always been historically much better at Rose Hill than I have been at Randwick, and that's even before we started the podcast when I used to just send the tips to the boys. I would just, I don't know, like my local track. I don't know if it's just pure luck or if it's just the way I read Rose Hill form, but yeah, I'm definitely better at Rose Hill compared to Randwick.
This is from Matthew Correa. What race are we most looking forward to this autumn? We answered this last pod. Both of us, it's the Golden Slipper, I think. We're both looking forward to that.
Real pumped for the Slipper.
Lockie Howard, do you think the standard of racing has declined since last year's autumn? Interesting question, this one. I like it.
I don't think it's declined. I just think that there's less big names running around, and that's purely because they've gone and retired now, and it's up to the racing world to generate those new names. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Brightside, Fangirl, people
I
cling
agree.
on to. Storm Boy is the name they're clinging on to now to come through. But, you know, this time last year we had Nature Strip and Animo still running around.
No, I agree. It's just, especially Racing in New South Wales are really looking for that horse, that name horse to put on the billboards, and they just don't really have that right now.
Yeah. Same quality racing, just not the same quality names.
Yeah. Daniel Horro, what will make the All-Star Mile a success? It seems to be worse each year.
Get rid of it. That's what's going to make it better. It sucks. It's always sucked.
Yeah, it sounds like such a good idea, but it's just stupid.
The fan voting never worked, but at least the fan voting actually meant that some really good horses were lining up, because it was a mix of really good horses and then just really terrible horses that had been voted in by the fans. Scrap that. Now it's just a terrible field. It's Mr. Brightside versus nobody.
Yeah.
Dewis got a wild card. She came last week in that hinged race, and that was a terrible race. It was like a field of 7 or 8 all money munch horses that have only won like 3 to 6 races in their career, and it's considered an all-star mile pick now. Like they're just handing out slots to anyone that wants it, because everyone that's half good saying, no, I'm not going to race in that race.
I remember all the good horses. This is a couple of years ago. Were getting picked, and then the Harrovian was putting their Facebook out saying, "Vote for us to get us into the All-Star Mile," and pretty sure he came dead last or close to it.
It's things like that. It's like that's really positive to see when you know small syndicates get their horses in, like the Inevitable, their horse from Tassie, the Harrovian from Queensland. Last year, Keats, bless your soul. But, I mean, shouldn't be in a race with those horses. It was just a speed bump in the end, which is why, it's cool to see cult figures race against what technically on paper are the best horses, but it needed a rejig. The rejig that they've got now doesn't work. And, I mean, I reckon either make it a slot race where slot holders can purposely pick the horses and yet boost the prize money out the wazoo, or just get rid of it, because it's not working. It's not attracting good horses. It's not attracting fans. If anything, it's just getting made fun of more and more every year. So I think they just need to bite the bullet.
Fair enough. Last one. Do you think there is a way to have the best horses in the world race 2 horses from each country in one race for a World Cup of horse racing? And who would go in it? Thanks, boys. Benny O'Brien.
I wouldn't know who would go in it, but I think yes, because I've had the idea that when the Olympics are in Brisbane, they should make horse racing an event, and they should put it on at Doomben or Eagle Farm, and they can have stayers race, sprinters race, milers race. Of course, dish out your medals as you please to the horses, jockeys, trainers, whatever, and then you could have a jockey challenge across the whole day to deal out the jockey medals and trainer medals. I think, it'd be hard to do, and it'd take a lot of buy-in from all the different racing governing bodies from Asia, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Africa. But there's enough racing bodies out there. There's enough really good horses out there that, you can get fields of all around the world, horses, trainers, jockeys. But I think it'd be great.
I just don't know how they do it. I just if there was for example, if there's an Olympics in, let's say, Spain, right? Who would we send from Australia over there?
As of right now, probably.
No, but who makes the decision?
Who
makes the decision? What if they don't want to?
That's what I'm saying. It'd take a lot of buy-in and
It's
a lot
just,
of
it's too
moving
hard.
parts.
It won't work.
Easier said than done, but I think it'd be great if it happened. But
if it happened, it'd be good, but it won't happen. Because who's going to pay for the prize money? Because I guarantee the Olympics wouldn't pay. There's no prize money in the
true.
Olympics.
How many owners would want to send their horse for a gold medal and not like $3 million
you don't get
sort of thing? That's a great point as well.
And then how many gold medals are the Olympics going to provide? They're not going to provide 60 for each horse that wins, because owners, trainers, horse.
It's a great point as well.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think again, great idea on paper, but very hard in practice.
No one will do it.
All right, is that it?
That's everything.
All right, if you're liking what you're hearing, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're liking what you're seeing on the YouTube, give us a like, share, and subscribe. And shout out to our good friends at Dabble.
Yeah, shout out to them. Footy is coming back, so a lot of betting coming back. NRL, great round 0, Las Vegas style. Got some bets there, didn't get many up, but the AFL will be back this week as well. So any bets that we mention in this podcast or different ones that you see on our profile, you can copy it into your profile with one click and put whatever stake you want. It's easy. We put the bets out for you. We build all the multis and then you just choose whatever price you want to put on them if you like the look of them.
If you're downloading Dabble, use the code MOXSports to let them know we sent you. And if you're doing so, make sure to gamble responsibly, set a deposit limit, think about what you could be buying instead. All right, mate, the track is going to be bone dry at Randwick on the weekend. We've got 30+ degree days all the way up until race day. And we've also got a 3-metre rail for the whole for the whole track. So in theory, it should be fair racing, but as we saw on the weekend, it was almost impossible to make up ground in those later races. So make sure to monitor it on the day. Race 1, 1,600 metres. I'm going to be straight to the point. Mahagoni, he's one of our old favourites, mate, but he has dropped off a cliff considerably. He's been stepping down in grade ever so slowly, and he's finally made his way back to where we discovered him in the midways. So now that he's finally back there after racing against all the kind of horses he's been racing against, but just lately in this prep, you've got Glory Days, Estadio Mestella, Redstone Well. They're genuine, like, top benchmark horses. So on that form alone, and at his price of $17 to win $5.50, that has to be a bet. Has to be a bet with this big drop in grade, that form, and at that price, each way Mahagoni in the midway for me.
I'm taking Dr. Evil, won last start pretty nicely with Tommy Berry on board. Tommy retains a ride, $10, $3.30 for me in the first. Head over to race 2 at the 1,200 metres. Pretty simple here for both of us, I will say. Too Done Lizzie, $2.80. That run first up at the Magic Millions sold us. We put a lot of future bets on her for the slipper. Don't know if she's going to get into it. If she
Needs
does,
to win this.
She does, but we'll take her here. So Too Done Lizzie.
Yeah, it's a win and you're in race. Needs to win this. And Adrian Bott came out and said we have all intention of getting her to the slipper. They've waited a while, in my opinion. But again, I'm no Gay Waterhouse. She knows what she's doing. So hopefully wins here and goes into the slipper. $2.80. I'm all over her, mate. As we move to race 3. Very open race here at the 2,000 metre mark. I'm going to be taking a horse at big odds because why not in such an open race? Bois de Jante fires first up, runs its best sort of runs first up, considering it's only missed the place once first up in 6 goes. Also at this distance has only missed the placings once in 9 goes. And of course, those who remember last year managed to run a blinding race and come 4th in the Caulfield Cup at 100 to 1. Comes here at the current price of, let me just confirm it, because it's moved since I was doing my form earlier. Was $13, now into $11 to win and $3.30 to place. I'll be taking Bois de Jante. Nick.
I'm having a look here. I had a look at Serpentine. Obviously, it's been racing to get a bit of fitness up. Coming to the 2,000 metres, it's probably looking for a 2,400 plus kind of race. I'm going to go with some value here as well. I'm going with Stockman, $27 and $6.50 for a place. Joseph Pride has a big day on his hands this week.
Yes, he does. He was mentioning that it's all coming to a head. A lot of big horses all on the one day at the one track.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Stockman, $27, $6.50. I really like it there. Head over to race 4 at the 1,100 metres. Red Resistance.
Back,
wow.
baby.
Back. $2.40 and is
1
your
year
favourite.
off.
1 year off. I'm going to have to be with Red Resistance. It was such a great prep last year. And
Was he not your top seed going into Slipper last year before he got scratched?
He was. So I've got to stick with him here again. $2.40. Very nice Red Resistance.
Yeah, long way off. And, you know, some might say he'll be a bit too fresh, but, you know, Gay Waterhouse will get him fit as a fiddle going into it. He's had about 6 trials as well. He'll be ready to go. $2.50. Red Resistance. If he's the same horse, surely gets up here.
Yeah.
All right, race 5. I'm going to fair warn you, Nick, punters. I'm going to go on a bit of a ramble here because I've gone down the rabbit hole with this race because I think the Todman Stakes, this is a very interesting addition here. So for those of you who don't know, this is a win and you're in race for the slipper, just like the Riesling earlier with Two Done Lizzie. So if you win, you're exempt. For those of you who don't know how the slipper field of 16 runners and 4 emergencies are determined, the top 20 in an order of entry is determined by those who win the win and you're in races. And after that, you've got based on prize money. So currently, you've got Stormboy, Manal, and Straight Charge. They're already qualified. They're in. So Straight Charge technically doesn't need to run here. He's doing this for fitness purposely. So is he going to have the intent to win? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Maybe, maybe not. You've also got Shangri-La Express. He's almost guaranteed a spot because of his win in the Golden Gift. He has more than double most of the challenger's prize money. So unless he gets injured, he's almost basically guaranteed his spot in the slipper as well. He's not exempt, but he should be starting there. Bodyguard, currently 7th in the order of entry. Not necessarily guaranteed a spot, but he just really needs to run a placing here to really cement him in with his prize money. Then here comes the interesting ones. Espionage in 12th and Switzerland especially in 17th. Switzerland currently sits out of the 16 guaranteed starters. So if he doesn't win here, he might get pushed down and he might only be an emergency, even though he's second favourite for the slipper. So you think that horses like Espionage in Switzerland are going to have all the intent in the world to really get the job done here compared to your Straight Chargers, Shangri-La Express, your Bodyguards. Okay? Again, sorry for the ramble, but I just thought that's something you really need to take into consideration with these late 2-year-old races heading into the slippers. Because some might be lining up that are already in the race and they're just ticking over. You know, they could win it if they want to, but essentially all they need to do is a tick over the legs heading into the race. But despite the fact that he's basically already guaranteed it, Shangri-La Express, I think at the betting point of view, $10 to win, $2.40 to place, I'm really interested there. Even though, like I said, maybe he doesn't have all the intent in the world to win because he's basically in, but he shouldn't be that price, that's for sure. He's drawn soft. He'll go right to the front. He'll be in the area of the track that he needs to get the win here. I think, you know, he's barely stepped wrong in his career. $10 to win, $2.40 to place. Shangri-La Express is a great bet in the Todman for mine.
Taking Switzerland, the one that beat Shangri-La Express last start. So $3.80, like you said, Waller needs him in. He's got a lot of
Needs to
intent.
get the job done here.
So Switzerland for me.
Lovely stuff.
Head over to race number 6 here, 1,000 metres. Another Joseph Pride race that he's looking to target with Private Eye. I really like this race. Marzu, Remark, Aft Cabin's back. Zapateo as well. Passive Aggressive as well is back, who was winning some ones at some good odds last couple
Good
starts
race,
ago.
very good race.
I have to be with Remark here. Since that gelding, different horse.
Loves running first up as well.
Loves running first up. So 6 starts, 4 wins, 1 third place. So look at that. Take what you want to out of that. Remark, $4.80, $2.10. It's a good field though, punters. I would not be betting on this race.
Used up all my words in the last race. Private Eye, class horse of the field, gets the job done in my opinion. Could have raced in the Newmarket, comes here instead. Private Eye. All right, 7 and 8 are in the tip-off, mate. So we go to race 9. Really open race of the 1,600 metres for the girls. Very similar to last week with that hinged race. I'm just going to go Philosophial. Closed really, really well behind some talented boys first up. So dropping back to the all-mares grade should certainly help its chances. J-Max had some really good success aboard as well. So at the each way odds of $5.50 to win, $2.30 to place, Philosophial for me.
I'm with you there, mate. Not too much arguments there. As we head over to the last, I like this race. Call Die and Cest Magique are your favourites at $5. Pretty open one to finish off. If you want some value, I don't mind Tintuki or Eagle's Nest, but I'm going to go with Miss Hellfire here. $8.50 and $2.90 for a place.
Yeah, good player. Back
last start coming second. Last start coming, that had a trial. Last start coming second behind Lady Laguna, who's good form to go off for me at the 1,300. Gets that 100 metres less, should be good. Miss Hellfire, $8.50 and $2.90.
Long time listeners will have no surprises here. Call Die for me. Owen Bet, love you Die, watching down on me every day. Changed over to Joe Pride. and we all know how much respect I have for horses that get switched to Joe Pride out of nowhere. He seems to really get the best out of them. Could be the next Maria here. Maria Mia. Because she's always had the potential to really jump out of the ground and just couldn't really get it done. Now that Joe Pride's taken over, I'm really excited to see what she could do. $5 to win.
Is there a
$2 to
trainers
place.
market?
For a trainers challenge?
Yeah.
I don't know. Joe Pride would have to be favourite though, you'd think.
Would.
All right, mate. We'll move on to the tip-off. We've got 3 races to discuss. We'll discuss the Sydney ones first before we head to the main event of the day, the big Newmarket Handicap, world's best handicap sprint. But we've got a couple of ones in Sydney to discuss. And we'll start with the Canterbury Stakes because this one might be a little bit cut and dry if you're thinking a certain horse by the name Think About It. Or are you looking elsewhere?
Well, for points, I look elsewhere. I think it wins. First up, last start, obviously, was it was the Everest first up, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Think About It.
Oh, no, sorry, that was second up,
Yes.
last start. But still, its first up record's 3 from 3. Second up record's 3 from 3 as well. Great horse, 11 wins, 13 career starts. I don't see how it loses, to be honest. You know what? I'm going to take it in the tip-off as well in case it goes out to $2, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm going to take it as well. The only query is 8 from 8 barriers, and you've got Malkovich, who's that leader at $30, but could steal it with pure pace, especially if if the track's playing up and in like it did last week. That's why I'm going to Think About It win Malkovich to top 4, same race multi. That'll pay about $6. But even in the tip-off, I'm just going to take Think About It because I think after last week...
You get $3 out of it still. The only one that I really liked was Pericles for a place, but if it gets up now, I'm going to be kicking. But I think Think About It wins.
After last week where I didn't pick up a single point, neither did you, and I was spewing I didn't even go think it over as my cover for Fangirl. But yeah, I just Think About It. It's going to be in the finish, so that's guaranteed points in my opinion. It'll be a big shock if it misses the placings. So you go race 8 now, the Randwick Guineas. Long-term listeners this season will know who I'm on, but are you looking at maybe militarised, like coming off the back of the form with older horses, was second to Fangirl last start in the Apollo and now comes to the same age group. Are you looking at militarised? Are you looking elsewhere? Where are you thinking?
Yeah, I like militarised. I think you should as well because it beat the best. It came second to the best horse in the country, apparently. Nah, I'm going to be on Tom Kitten. Last chance for Tom Kitten. Third up. Should be peaking. Should improve. Last chance. If it's a good track, that's where you want it to be. Races its best on the good track. $7, $2, $5 for a place. Tom Kitten.
So before I go on, I feel like Fangirls, it's going to become our next argue horse every time it comes up. It's our new ice bath. Literally, it's going to be our...
And then you're going to stop tipping it one day. And it's going to come out to 30s.
And you'll get on.
And I'll get on.
And look like a genius. And then I'll get back on and we'll start running shit again. It's genuinely going to be the next ice bath, I can already tell. Celestial Legend, those of you who have been listening since the start of the season, knowing the season premiere, I tipped it in the futures market at $13. You're welcome if it wins here, if you got on at that price. $4 here. I'm very confident in it. Absolutely blew the field away last start. Really showed us what it can do. I think it'll be even better out to 1,600 metres. He's a horse that I think is going to be stronger the further he goes. And to be fair, he's only missed the placings twice in 6 goes here. He's never seen the mile, but like I said, I reckon he's prime for the mile. Celestial Legend at $4 to win here. I reckon he'll be up there.
Fair enough.
All right, we move over to Melbourne, mate, the Newmarket Handicap. The meeting's actually been decimated by a 37 to 40 degree heat that's been scheduled. Something that I don't think New South Wales racing does enough, shortening the meeting or even, calling it off altogether or moving it forward. You never really see that anymore at Racing New South Wales, at least for the main meetings. And I think some of the days you see in summer, very much so needed. There's a couple of 42 degree days there that the races really should have been moved earlier, but they weren't. But that being said, 8 race card. This is race 5 on the card, Flemington race 5. It's considered the best sprinting handicap in the world because most, of course, are weight for age. But because of the handicap, you find Imperatriz at 58 kilos, and we'll go into the history of that weight in the key facts and stats, mate. Have you got them in front of you?
I do not.
But it's an interesting race. You would have thought that as soon as Imperatriz decided Newmarket instead of Canterbury, like almost M word. She'll start $1.60, she'll win, but the weight she's been given, plus the conditions on the day, plus the field that's been assembled, very, very open race. It's going to be very interesting to see. But for now, let's go through the key facts and stats that you need to know before making your pick in the Newmarket Handicap.
13 of the last 15 winners came out of either the Lightning Stakes or the Oakley Plate.
Only one horse in the last 100 years has won this race when first up.
12 of the last 26 winners have been 3 years old.
Only 11 favourites have won in the last 40 years, and 20 of those favourites have gone unplaced.
Only 4 winners in the last 16 years have been female.
And only 7 horses in the last 65 years have carried more than 57 kilos. And only 1 female horse has carried that much and won at 58 kilos. That was Black Caviar. So Imperatrice has to be the first since Black Caviar, and the only one since Black Caviar, to carry 58 kilos and win the Newmarket Handicap. Mate, from what I've heard in those stats, history is very much so against Imperatrice. She's either as good as Black Caviar, which again, that was a bit of a clickbaity talk amongst the week as SEN declared she was as good as Black Caviar. That ruffled a few feathers. But I mean, yeah, she either makes history going against the female stat, the weight stat, the favourite stat. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not too sure here.
She's very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. I'm going against her. Only because that it's come down to the trial, right? So you look at this trial that she's lost she came 5th in the 800 meter Cranbrook trial, and they said she just didn't want to race. Sometimes she rocked up and she just doesn't want to race. If it's going to be 42 degrees or however hot you said, is it going to be...
Yeah, is she going to want to race?
Is she going to want to race?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm the same. I mean, 58 kilos, clearly not going as well as she was in the spring, in my opinion, with that trial and that first up run. Yeah, she got the job done, but wasn't looking as unbeatable as she was in the spring. Plus that hot weather, gut feeling is she's going to get rolled. But now that neither of us are covering her, I bet she comes out and she'll win and make us look stupid. And it'd be a gift of a price considering she's always at $1.60 and now she's here at $2.70, $3. But I don't know, mate. Who are you tipping to knock her off?
Go on Cylinder.
Interesting.
Low weight Jamie Carr, $13 and $3.50 for a place.
The 3-year-old of the race, 12 of the last 26.
So going for a bit more value here, punters. Look, if you want to go Imperatrice, be my guest. But like I said, that trial, they came out and said she has a tendency to not want to race. And in my thought process, if it's 40 degrees and she's a New Zealand horse that probably used to a bit cooler as well, it's just not going to be ready for her.
Fair enough. I'm going Buenos Noches. Meets her 4.5 kilos better than when they met last at this distance at this track in the Champions Sprint, and he was only 0.5 lengths off her. And he ran decently, not amazingly, against King of Sparta last start, but I think, we'll take fitness from that. And comes here, he's really good down the straight. We know that. And I think that weight swing is really critical. If this was weight for age, I think this race would be a completely different story. But the fact that now it's a handicap and she's carrying 3 more kilos than the next horse, she gives Cylinder about 7 kilos down at the bottom weight. Is she good enough to lump that much weight and get it done? You know what? She'll probably come out and do it now that we're not on her, like I said. But I mean, Buenos Noches at $5 to win, $2 to place. I'm all over him. I'm really happy to take that price. And hopefully he gets the job done.
Fair enough.
All right, mate. We'll move to around the grounds. Have you found anything around the country?
You go first again.
Flemington Race 2, Faulkner Park. Really does me wrong here, $3.70. I reckon he'll get the job done. Then Savannah Cloud, mock favourite of ours, probably stealing one of your tips already. Yep. Race 7, $12 to win, $3.70. Was able to come very close behind that shocking event when the $100 horse beat Jimmy Star. But I mean, Jimmy Star form is stacked up around that horse. So I mean, I'm happy to take Savannah Cloud there, especially for a place at $3.70 when she rarely finishes out of the placings.
Yeah, that was my only around the grounds tip. So thank you for
enough.
that.
We move to the quaddie, mate.
Yep, our quaddie is race 7. Think about it. Pericles Espiona. Race 8, Militarized, Tom Kitten, Celestial Legend, NCAP. race 9. Thalassophile, Ida, Lekvart, Osmos.
Osmosis, not osmosis.
Last, we got Cold Eye, Sesamagic, Rainbill, Tin Cook, Tookie, and My Tip as well. Just to even it out, because we only went for 3 horses in the first. So $50 gets you 19.5%.
Lovely stuff. All right. Punters. Tricky day of betting. We thought, it was feast or famine last week. It was definitely a famine. The noodles were broken out on Saturday night. 2 weeks to go to Golden Slipper. Just over a month until the championships. So if you're betting, make sure to save a bit of coin. Don't give it all back to the bookies if you get up on the day, because there are some very heavy betting weeks coming along. But good day racing, very keen for it.
Best bet of the day, mate. Anywhere around the country, what are you having?
2 Darn Lizzie, I'm very keen on her. I think she, before Stormboy came out and proved to be the freak that he is, she was my top seed for the Slipper. She can command herself and take the second pick here behind Stormboy. And obviously for the ticket we've got, I really wanted to get in that race, but I just don't think anything beats her in that field. So 2 Darn Lizzie in race 2 at $2.80 for me.
I'll take Red Resistance, $2.40, race 4, best of the day. Let's go, boys.
Lovely. Gay Waterhouse and Bot double up. Let's go. All right. Anything to say to the punters before we go?
Best of luck. Footy's back. Get on Dabble. Bet.
Oh, yeah. All right. We'll see you next week, punters.